All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about real music in real time for a few real people just like you, just like me. All right, before I get going on this, Eric Clapton, The Lady in the Balcony, that's his wife, by the way. Just a beautiful, pristine set of blues standards and Eric Clapton songs. What an amazing set. Great band to Chris Stainton playing keyboards, Steve Gadd on drums. Steve Gadd, he's okay. And that Nathan East guy playing bass, and then Eric. So this came out as the lockdown sessions. That's the only thing I don't like about it, is it says lockdown on it. And I just don't like that word. But that's what it was, you know. And he went into this pristine mansion building, I don't know, over in the UK, and recorded this, and it's just stellar. Eric sounds terrific, and it's going to be hard to complain about his band. The only people who complain about Eric Clapton these days are people who don't like his take on the thing. They just don't like it. They want Eric to basically say the same thing that the news media has been saying for 3 years. Although I do think the narrative is starting to fall apart, despite people complaining about my cold and uninformed takes, and that people need to hold me accountable. But they don't need to hold, say, the pharmaceutical companies accountable or the so-called mainstream media. Those entities, no, because they're the people that you can trust. But you can't trust me, but you can trust them. This is the irony and the craziness and the upside down clown world we live in. And I don't know, I guess people don't have enough to do with their life. So they need to come after me for not having the media narrative, for not participating in the matrix. Okay. And I'm resisting the matrix every single day. And that goes with this whole, gee, we don't know what happened to them. They need their privacy. Okay, Christine McVie. That was a real tough one when Christine McVie passed away. She was 79 years old, so she was right around the life expectancy, but it was a brief illness, right? A brief, that's all we got. And, you know, I went and did a little research, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they revealed something later on. Because, again, you hear, well, Dave, you're so insensitive. I mean, they need their... Christine McVie, yeah, absolutely. Christine McVie was a beloved musician. I really don't know anybody who didn't like Christine McVie. All the more reason to find out what happened to Christine McVie, so it doesn't happen to other people. I keep saying this, and they go, well, they told you it was a brief illness. She was surrounded by her family. Now, this one website, I think it's Music Times, they were actually making fun of people who were going online and saying, I think I know what happened to Christine McVie. And, you know, like I say on this particular program, maybe an extra trip to Walgreens. I'm pretty sure that Fleetwood Mac as a band walked in lockstep with the corporate medical narrative. They just did what they were supposed to do. And I believe Lindsey Buckingham did the same thing. Thank goodness Lindsey Buckingham says his health has returned and he's working on a new album. That's great news. But Christine McVie is not here anymore. So that makes a Fleetwood Mac reunion not completely out of the question, but certainly very difficult. And a lot of people would say, yeah, out of respect for Christine, you guys probably shouldn't move forward and do anything like that. And I don't think they're going to. I think this really hit people hard. It hit Lindsey hard. It hit Stevie hard. It obviously hit Mick Fleetwood hard. Not too sure about John McVie, who was married to Christine McVie at one point. Get the, you know, the last names are the same. But again, the publication making fun of people who are speculating, just like the people who say, you know, your cold, uninformed take on this needs to be called out. You need to be held accountable. But the media industrial complex who puts these narratives out there, they don't need to be held accountable. The medical establishment, they shouldn't really tell people, for instance, the ingredients on a certain product. They should just not talk about what's in there. They shouldn't, the insert should be blank, right? So you wonder, by the way, for those of you who don't like me, you wonder why there's this constant speculation out there. It's because there's no information. This is not informed consent. Because if you have informed consent, you're given a list of ingredients, right? Just like, hey, we're going to shoot you up into outer space. And we're going to tell you what the effects of space are going to be on your body. We're going to tell you what the liftoff is going to be like. We're going to tell you about re-entry. By the way, they do this on airplanes. They tell you, what you're going to feel and what you might experience. But apparently, when it comes to certain medical things, they're not going to, they tell you, oh, it might hurt a little bit, so don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Well, that would happen no matter what. So that's not telling me anything, So, people online talking about Christine McVie, and they're allowed to speculate because nobody is telling the truth about what happened, or at least more details about what happened. She had a short illness. Okay, thank you. Do short illnesses end the lives of most people? When you hear illness, it's kind of vague, kind of doesn't have a lot of detail when you say illness. So you've got this beloved keyboard player who wrote great songs, who, by the way, carried Fleetwood Mac on her back for many years. When others in the band, and I'm talking about Stevie and Lindsay, couldn't come up with that song that would keep the band on the radio, Christine McVie did that time and time again. And she was kind of an unheralded hero in that band because you had the drama around Lindsay and Stevie. And Stevie gets most of the ink, and Christine McVie plays second fiddle, but yet she seems to be the one who is money in the bank when it comes to songs. You can criticize her because she was constantly writing about love. And I think Mick Fleetwood said a few things about how she was so lovey-dovey all the time, and all she could write about was love. I don't know. I don't really have a problem with that. And, again, if you're some kind of real intense songwriter, you write songs about other topics, and, people tend to like things they can relate to. And I think Christine McVie was really good at that. She wasn't writing about Eastern mysticism or witchcraft or anything like that. She was just, putting it out there. And her songs, I think, are going to stand the test of time. But with somebody like that, wouldn't it be fitting to find out what happened to her? Because we owe it to her, we owe it to her family, we owe it to her fans. I mean, fans were the ones that went out and purchased the albums and purchased the concert tickets. I know that's kind of like a minor thing compared to somebody who's not here anymore, who's dead. But I think overall, this is a teachable moment for others who are thinking to themselves, well, it couldn't have been what these crazy conspiracy theorists are saying it is. Couldn't be that. This is the mindset, the mind-blowing, don't ask any questions. Don't ask them. Soon as you ask those questions, we may find some things out. And then we may find out this is the biggest scandal, fraud, whatever, perpetrated on humanity. We may find that out. And incidences like the football player the other night, which I don't know for sure, nobody really knows, could be the fact that the tackle, the hit was pretty hard and it hit him the right way. there is a condition that can result from that hit. But I don't know if you bounce back up on your feet and then fall back down again. I don't know. I'm not a medical expert. Well, see, your cold takes are just stupid. And why do you even do this? I do it because people are interested. That's why. If people weren't interested, they wouldn't watch the channel. Pretty simple. Now, if you're not interested, then go somewhere else. Go where the narrative is the same. Go where the politics and the medical industry and entertainment, they all kind of just flow together and nobody asks any pertinent questions. You know, these are the same people that think Balenciaga is a great company. I don't understand why people are so outraged by what they did, you know, and this is a very dark mindset. And the fact that you're no longer allowed to ask questions. And the article, by the way, doesn't help with finding out what really happened to Christine McVie. It just debunks or attempts to debunk the speculators, and then talks about how she had an issue with her back and how that would have been painful, but that wouldn't have caused her to pass away. So they debunk some of the alternative theories that are out there, and yet they don't address what the so-called conspiracy theorists are saying. They just mention them like they're kooks. They're crazy. This is where I'm just completely flabbergasted. So nobody wants to do any investigative journalism. You hear all the time, like what happened, for instance, like January the 6th, J6 as people like to call it now. How about you do it real? How about you show us the tape and do some journalism? Yeah, we're just going to tell you it was an insurrection and that everybody there was there. Granny was there with her friends to overthrow the government. That's the official narrative right there. Kind of hard to believe that something else wasn't at work there. But, you know, everybody is supposed to just swallow the information and just move on with their lives and think, okay, half of the country are crazy. They're just crazy. And we need to accept that. And we need to be afraid of those people. And by the way, those people are the same people who are questioning the medical establishment. And good. I may not agree with, you know, who they want for president, but I'm really agreeing with the spirit of what they're doing. That's called journalism. It is. That's investigative journalism. Journalism is simple. It's seeing something and then telling people what you've seen. Doing research and telling people about your research and getting credible sources. So I guess what, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Malone, those are lousy sources, right? We can't, isn't McCullough like one of the most peer-reviewed guys? And isn't he one of the most published guys? And isn't this his area of expertise? Is he just like trying to destroy himself by doing this? I mean, you can ask all these other questions. And then a number of other, what's the Great Barrington Declaration? Has anybody looked into what the Great Barrington Declaration is? That was very early on. And those were some pretty heavy hitters when it comes to people who, prior to this all happening, were super well respected. And that happens over and over again. So-and-so is the greatest heart surgeon in the world. Now he's a joke because he doesn't believe what the media tells everyone else to believe. So in any event, we still don't really know what happened to Christine McVie. She had a short illness. That's all we know. And it's just sad because, again, this is a teachable moment. The football player, they should get to the bottom of that. It could have been that very aggressive tackle. I'm kind of hoping it's the tackle, but it is still kind of weird. A lot of people say, well, it's football. And I've seen more aggressive tackles than that one. And people get up and they walk away, or they kind of shake it off. Maybe it takes them a minute or two to regain themselves, but they're back on their feet. This was different. He hopped to his feet and then he fell over. I could be wrong. I'm hoping I'm wrong. It would be better to be wrong about all of this, because if this is all true, then it's the greatest scandal in the history of the world. History of the world. I don't know what would be a bigger scandal. Maybe nailing Jesus to a cross might be a bigger scandal. Oh, he's the Son of God. I don't believe that. So I'm just going to nail him to a cross. Okay. So, yeah, I guess we've had a history of doing stupid things. Humanity has gone off the rails numerous times and continues to do so. So this is nothing new, really. I don't know how I got to this point. Anyway, let's talk Eric Clapton again. Here's a guy who's a lone wolf. He doesn't talk enough to the media. And when he talks, we don't really trust what he's saying because he's secretive. And he's been that way for a very long time, probably since he left the Yardbirds. How can you trust Eric Clapton? Really? How can you trust what you're hearing every day from your mainstream media, which is pretty much bought and paid for? The people who are promoting this crap are all, funding and financing the entire operation. Again, I think it was Frank Zappa. I'll keep this quote out there. He said that politics, and you could throw the media in there, are the entertainment wing of the military-industrial complex, or in other words, the medical-industrial complex, because they're intertwined a little bit. If you know anything about DARPA and all that stuff. Oh, man. But hey, I've got the coldest take and the most uninformed take. Yeah. Okay, sure. When I get into private conversations with people, they don't even know the basics of what's going on out there. They don't even know just like 5% of all of the corruption that's happening around us. And that's the problem. We have an uninformed population, and we have an education system that continues to fail every single day. And nobody wants to fix anything. Everybody wants to sit on their couch and eat Doritos and self-medicate. That's kind of where most people are these days. And yeah, that's my cold take. So there you go. All right, I'm done. See you soon.